Serious, in the spirit of October, what's the creepiest or most paranormal experience that has happened to you? My friends and I used to sneak into an orchard near our house at nighttime after they closed. We'd walk through the dozens of acres of land and just mess around. Sometimes we'd smoke or drink, but we mainly went to eat the fruit. It was a good time. One really late night, several years ago, it was June 30th and we were deep in the orchard, about 5 to 6 acres in. We started hearing this music and drum beat. As we walked over a hill, overseeing 10 to 20 acres of land, we saw a fire in the distance. It was burning bright white and people were dancing around it, beating drums. We watched them for a few minutes, until we saw flashlights heading our way. We quickly started back toward one of the exits, heard a rustling in the bushes ahead of us. My friend threw a rock in the direction of the rustling and then we heard a loud and clear, "Shh, quiet." Slowly we started walking toward the other entrance several acres back. On the walk back we heard someone walking alongside us on the other side of the trees. We eventually made it out but later found out that July 1st is a demon revels ritual holiday, with blood sacrifices. And we were definitely there past midnight. Almost positive if we stuck around we would not be here today. Edit, fixed date. It has happened 5 times already. I see light, something like a very small blue lighting bolt, coming out of my closet. Of course there is nothing there. My door just unlocked itself and opened a few hours ago. No one was there, so that's cool. Sleep paralysis. Humans are quite good at seeing patterns. And so the wardrobe can look like a fucking demon while you wake up but can't move yet. So this isn't a single experience, but there is an ice cream truck that's been playing its eerie little jingle for as long as I can remember. Thing is, I've never seen the truck before, talking about it with friends and family, no one else has seen it either. So we just have this spooky little tune playing every now and then with no identifiable source and sounding like it is just the next block over, but it never is. A little late to this thread, but I was showering in my grandmother's house and all of a sudden felt this overwhelming feeling of anxiety and sadness. I closed my eyes because of how overwhelming it was, but when I did, I swear on my mother's life I saw an image of my dead uncle, my grandmother's son who lived in that house, who killed himself 3 years before I was born because of his schizophrenia. I opened my eyes in shock, because I hadn't thought about him in a long time. For some reason, after that I heard knocking on the door for a straight minute. I thought it was my brothers, but when I asked them they were all clueless. To this day I have no idea what that was, but I know that it scared me to death at the time. My sophomore year of college I lived in a brand new dorm building on campus. It was nice, clean, all the fixtures were new and the layout wasn't convoluted or confusing. Right near my dorm room was a series of bathrooms, including a special bathroom for people with wheelchairs. It even had a shower that was 3 times bigger than a normal college shower and a seat built into it. There wasn't a single handicapped person in the building that year, but needless to say that shower stall immediately became the favorite of everyone on the floor because it was nice to have a shower that wasn't clogged with hair and that wasn't only 2 feet wide so your naked butt would bump into freezing cold tile every time you moved. About a month into the semester though shit started. For reasons no one, including building management, understood, the door would just lock on its own. We'd be sitting in the lounge watching TV or studying and we'd just hear an audible click as the door locked itself despite no one going in. It'd stay locked for anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours all on its own. Then there were the weird noises that sounded like a screaming animal that would come out of the vent right above the shower. And the fact that the toilet would occasionally start shaking violently for no reason. Or the sink that did the same thing. After a few months they closed the bathroom to figure out what was going on, and if it was a plumbing issue or something was wrong with the door. They gave up after 3 weeks and everyone just assumes that restroom is haunted now. We call the ghost Jeffrey. When my grandpa died I found a watch a few weeks later that was out of batteries and stopped on his death date, and to this day I believe the time it stopped on was his tot. I had a premonition of my dad being hurt pretty badly. It was a solid 3 minutes before it happened. I took a break from helping him move dirt in a wheelbarrow. On that break I had the premonition, took off my gloves, knocked on wood, then grabbed a drink. When I rounded the corner to go to the backyard where he was, I saw him walking toward the front yard with his hand on his head, blood coursing out. Luckily we live close to a hospital and we got him there quickly. Even though it has been about 25 years, Jesus, does that day stick with me. During a rather nasty fight and getting dumped by my ex, I had a glass perfume bottle tossed at me, was sitting against the wall on the back of my dresser, and when I went to look for it, there was no sign of it anywhere. I'd been crying most of the evening but immediately stopped when I felt the bottle bounce off of the mattress. Not paranormal per se but more of a premonition and very creepy. I dated a guy for a few years but it ended badly and we didn't speak after the breakup. He had a younger brother who was a super sweet kid. A few years go by and one Sunday I get a text from my mom asking if ex-boyfriend had a younger brother, and for no reason the first thought that came to my mind was, oh god, brother was in a motorcycle accident and died. And I got really nervous until my mom texted we're having lunch in their hometown and our waiter looks like X. Huge relief. A few days later I get a text from ex that brother died in a motorcycle accident Monday morning. I'd if it really counts, but it did creep the hell out of me at the time. So I was trying to grab my keys out of my coat, and they are always in the left pocket. I checked the left pocket but the things I put in my right pocket were in there, not my keys, and I was very sure it was my left pocket. So I pulled my hand out of the pocket, and then checked again if it really was the left one and tried to grab my keys, but still the things of my right pocket were in the left. Well okay, then I probably put my keys in the right? But when I searched my right pocket, I found the same stuff I just found twice in the left pocket. And then when I went back to the left pocket my keys were in there? Like what? I am very sure I checked my left pocket twice and then my right and then my left again. And I am very sure I found the same things in both my left and right pocket. I was typing a whole story but my vocabulary is very small and it would not be entertaining. So I will keep it short. It was Halloween in 2010 and during breakfast I heard a meowing. After getting my family to hear it we tracked the source to the front door. That was definitely the source of it, as when we open the door a black cat is chilling on the front porch. Keep in mind we don't own pets and our neighbors own dogs. My 10-year-old self was freaking out and thought we were going to die because what are the odds of a black cat appearing on your porch on Halloween? Thankfully nothing bad happened and we still got to go trick-or-treating. Not very spooky, but you asked for the personal worst. I had a ukulele when I was a child and it was laying against the wall in my room. One night while I was in bed and my parents were still up, I heard a chord being plucked. Not some weird noise or anything, just a very clear, loud note. I called my dad and he checked, since I thought it had fallen over or something, but it was still just standing there, not moved or anything. I was really young when it happened, maybe 5 or even younger, but I still remember that one tune. In middle school, this weird school between primary and secondary ages, for Europeans, the start time was 7:15. I had to get up at 5 a.m. and be ready for the school bus to pick me up at 6:30. That means, almost all days of the year, it was pitch black at my bus stop. This day it was winter, so it's even darker than normal. The crappy street light points on me and I'm there alone at the bus stop, a 12-year-old girl in a big puffy pink winter coat. It's a bad neighborhood too. This guy drives up the street, stops at the stop sign next to me, waits a bit, even though literally no one is there, and turns. A few minutes later, he's back. I think nothing of it cause I was a dumbass. He waits a bit, then rolls down his window and says something. He looks straight ahead and says something. I can't hear him so I ask what. He says it again, smiling, and I still can't hear. So I get closer and closer, progressively asking him, I can't hear you, what are you saying? Before I finally have my head in the window and I realize he's got one hand on the wheel and one on his dick, which is erect and standing straight up. I said, "Do you need a ride?" I kinda shout/gurgle no. And immediately turn around. I have literally never seen a dick before and never experienced a pervert of any kind. On top of that, my mother has been raped multiple times in her life and told me the stories, so I knew what to look out for and how to survive a rape, so I was extra traumatized by this. Stupidly, I didn't call the police. I told myself I would call if he came around again. The guy drove off and I never saw him or his car again. Since I turned around right away, I didn't get the license plate. Sorry for my bad English. When I was about 12, me and 3 friends were in a field, the backyard of a family who had several houses in it, but not on this field, and some years before it a woman lived in a wood house in the middle of it and died there alone. And as we were exploring, some close as 19 p.m., we saw a big white thing. It was some like transparent and it has 2 yellow eyes and a red dot or eye in the forehead, a little above and in the middle of the yellow eyes, because it didn't have a forehead lol. We were spooked out. We tried to run back but it kept coming in front of us. At some point my friend tried to shoot it with an airsoft pistol, common on Brazil around this year, 2003 probably, and the bullets went right though. We were forced to continue forward on the field and needed to jump a wall about 6 meters high. Wasn't easy at the time to get out of there. I always remember how it looked like. I comment this with the friends that was there with me and they all remember it very vividly. I always wondered if someone was seen this thing too. I don't have a strong memory of it, but when I was little, ages 3-8ish, my parents told me I would walk into their room at night telling them I couldn't sleep with the strange man watching me, and sometimes wake up at night crying with the same claim the man at the edge of my bed. Now older but still prone to sleepwalk/talk/night terrors. My most common one is the strange man in the room. I'll frequently wake my fiancé to tell him about the man at the edge of the bed or the man's shadow in the room. No memory of it because I'm asleep, but my fiancé sure remembers. About 5.5 years ago, I had to make a 6+ hour round trip car ride, and I had to take my then 3-year-old twin sons with me. The kids fell asleep pretty quickly once we got driving. As I was making the return trip, I decided I should stop and wake them up. They'd been asleep for quite a while, and I didn't want them peeing their pants. I stopped at a rest stop, and turned around to tell them to get up to go to the bathroom. I hadn't yet spoken when they both sat up, and opened their eyes, and their eyes were grey. In perfect unison, they started to speak. They said to me, "Dad, we should tell you about the dream we just had. We were driving down the highway, and we saw 3 piles of bones. One was me, one was my Bubba was how they said brother, and one was my full name." I was still Dadu at that point. I didn't think they even knew my full name. Then they closed their eyes, and slept for the remainder of the drive, didn't even move. Prior to this, and still to this day, when they have nightmares, and I go to comfort them, they will still be asleep but they will have their eyes open, their eyes will be grey.